Princess. Princess? Why do they call female dogs bitches? According to them, you're a bitch. Does that make you sad? Does it? How many of you guys have watched that movie Scanners? Remember that old 80s thriller or whatever it was? You ever see those guys on there when they're... And anyways, my point being that let's talk a little bit about self-medication and suppression, particularly emotional suppression and suppression of self. See, we function normally based on how we process things that we see through the windows to our soul, and it connects to our heart. And so what we experience and what we live, including how we empathize with other people, is going to produce an effect, and it's a spiritual effect, and it's a soulful effect, and it's one that concerns your emotions and how you feel about things. So if you've gone through a rough time and had a hard time or are having a hard time, and you self-medicate and you suppress what is supposed to be natural, I'm not preaching right now, but I am, then what happens is that you build stress. So over time you become reliant on the mode of suppression. So whether you're using drugs or you're drinking, you're pushing it all down. So that guy in the Scanners movie, eventually that's all got to permeate to the surface, right? It's got to go somewhere. So sometimes we internalize it, and whether we realize it or not, we're causing ourselves sicknesses. We're causing ourselves depression. We're causing ourselves grief and stress because we continue to push it down. And eventually, that, for me personally, it comes up like those guys on Scanners where my head's about to explode, or I'm going to go into a depression and I'm going to close down and seclude or do what it is that I do in order to continue to push away and down, stuff the pain. So anyways, take away the medication, take away the alcohol, and suddenly the real problems emerge. So what do you do with them? You'd be like that guy on Scanners, close your heart, and then your head's gonna pop. You also gotta keep an open mind. You could close your mind, and you're gonna have a heart attack. But if we don't process naturally and normally and find a good, positive, healthy outlet, eventually it's gonna cause us sickness, whether mental or emotional, or physical and spiritual. So when I feel tears that want to come up, I'm such a macho man, I usually just swallow them down. Like for example, I was listening to the story of a residential school survivor, and his story was heartbreaking. It was heartwarming too, but it was really sad. And when you're sitting there and you're listening and you attach your heart to theirs and you give them your empathy and the support and strength that they should have while they're telling their story, with an open mind and an open heart, you're going to feel what they feel. And as they're describing it, if you visualize what's happening, then you're really going to feel it. So tears wanted to come up, but there's like 20 people in the circle. Most people, they feel uncomfortable with crying around others, so they just block it, or they suppress the tears or hold them back. But I should have just let those tears flow, right? Because then it's like after the circle, you feel disoriented. You know, emotions are powerful, man. And when you stuff them down and you keep them down, you don't let them come out through tears and talk it out, it's going to cause you a little bit of disorientation and sickness. But I noticed the big difference when I let the tears flow and when I talk about it. It might weaken me for a couple days, but that's a part of the healing. Because then when I bounce back after 3 or 4 days, I feel stronger than ever. My laugh comes out more real, more authentic and genuine, and it just feels good to be who I am. So don't be like that guy on Scanners, eh? You know, say a prayer. Accept your emotions for what they are. Your mind, connect to people. They feel the same way, they go through the same thing. They understand, you know. If you're going through an addiction or recovery, look to people who care. Find people who are in the same situations and want to do the same thing. There's power in unity. I usually don't know why, but why not?
The devil lives within you.
The world cut you up and poisoned you mentally. I ain't trying to offer no empathy, don't need it, but still proceeded like the enemy befriended me. I say forget it and feed it. I say love it or leave it. Life's a bitch when you mistreat it, so feed it, don't overfeed it or be defeated. Used to be heavily weeded, reclusively deleted, the voice of the demon thinking I beat it. Abusively freed it, writing on the wall, read it, exclusively confusing me, repeat it and delete it. It ain't juicing me, it's just not what I needed. What I cruised to be is what I used to be, free, passionately heated. Then it all set in, concreted. The more that I speed it, the floor, the faster, the dead end, the eyes reddened, glossy and sheeted. Expleted demons misleading me that she cheated. I can't believe it. There were times when repeat offenders repeated. There were times when we were young and people we knew were hung and we had to grieve it. Believe it, you can feed it. You can feed the peep to the street and take the peep out the belly of the beast, but can't take the street out the peep. It's like the peep is eating the street. Feet that are concrete, 2 feet heartbeat. Street smart, smart street. It's like it's from where you were seated. Bleed and blunts from my gums for months was just suppression of tears. Used to be a sucker, think he do what he wants until I refreshen my ears. The ghost float billow from the cave of my lungs, beer tears in my pillow seeping deep, creeping weeping like a willow. Still I'm only young and overcoming my fears. Was overcoming the shadow that lies behind the eyes and the windows to the mirrors. Just to liberate the soul and take a rise into the sky. Mine is getting high and flying to the clear sky without wanting to die into the clear as it appears so blue. Crystalline clarity flew so true. The mystery's intrigue is in a realm of its own. I say a prayer in a zone and I hope that he hears. Mebe, mebe bebe, mebe bebe, mebe bebe. Straight up. Thug, gangster. Mad credibility. So deep. The only reason you don't see me on that, getting that kind of respect. Got that humility credibility. Deep.